This is The Sports Life.
Biddle good on the free throw. Ducks lead 71-70. Now they got to play D. USC ball. Inbound to Cornish. Races ahead to Arenas to the left wing. Arenas tries to go to the basket. He turns it over. The Ducks throw the ball up the floor, and that should do it. Oregon victorious.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler, the tones of Joey McMurray, the voice of the Oregon Ducks. And it's good to hear him sound happy for a change, because God knows that wonderful Duck team is so beat up and they had so many close calls. And finally, they have a close one that they win, this time against Southern Cal.
Got to feel good for the Ducks, no doubt about it.
Well, as for this week's show, obviously we're going to talk some basketball, right? Because the basketball season, we're getting into the good part of the college basketball season. But also there's something going on called golf. It's underway in the Big Ten. And Casey Lubahn, the golf coach at Michigan State, is going to join us, not to necessarily talk about the Spartan golf team, but some of the initiatives he's put into place to help Big Ten golf.
That'll be really cool. You mentioned, too, we're certainly going to talk some basketball. The UCLA women's basketball team is on the brink of perfection. Maybe going 18-0. They're 17-0 right now. We're going to be joined by the voice of the Bruins, Dave Marcus, to talk about really the excellence of UCLA. And speaking of excellence that maybe doesn't get enough credit, Bruce Thornton of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're talking about somebody who is going to go down as an Ohio State legend and maybe doesn't get the amount of coverage he should. So the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Paul Keels, is going to join us and get us to know Bruce Thornton just a little bit more.
Well, sounds of the week, what do we got?
Well, this was a week of game winners across the board in Big Ten sports. Let's start with UCLA getting a buzzer-beating win over Illinois. Here's the voice of UCLA, Josh Lewin, on the call. You'll hear some music in the background. It was the social media clip that the video team put out for UCLA. But this is how Donovan Dent called game.
Williams under his basket, threads it in, and Donovan Dent gets it across with 3, with 2, with 1 to the rack, plays it up.
Bruins have done it! He ties ending it home! Inconceivable! Wow! UCLA from down 23 to beat top 10 Illinois. Unlikely, impossible, fantastic!
It's fantastic is the word for it. Think about it. Illinois has had 3 overtime games this year. They lost all of them. But Donovan Dent, one thing he can't do, he can't make a long jump shot, right? There's 9 seconds left. And when he got the ball, I was watching this thing going, well, if he shoots from the perimeter, he's not going to make it. We didn't have to. He just dribbled 94 feet almost. It was just an incredible layup. It was fabulous to watch it.
What a great moment that was. And as we said, that's just one of the game winners this week and weekend in Big Ten sports. Because on the women's side, Nebraska women's basketball finally snaps the losing streak as Britt Prince hit a game winner against the Washington Huskies, as called by Matt Coatney.
Prince will come out and take it with 14 seconds to go. Huskers trailing by 2. Prince against Sellers, who has 4 fouls. He'll take a 3. You betcha! A CVA 3 for Britt to give Nebraska the lead. I said you want Britt Prince taking the shot. Have a game, Britt Prince.
Well, he was pretty pumped.
He sure was. That ended up actually putting Nebraska back on the good side of the bubble. They're really hanging by a thread. That game winner might really do some big boosting for the Huskers. One other sport that we still haven't touched on yet, why not throw in Big Ten hockey into the mix? There's a game winner on the ice. Penn State and Ohio State coming down to the end of it. It's tied 4-4. And Penn State great freshman Gavin McKenna scored this game-winning goal called by the voice of Penn State hockey, Brian Tripp.
Smith over the Buckeye line to McKenna. He pirouettes at the near point. McKenna to Smith between the circles, harassed back high, sauced it McKenna. McKenna dangles into the low slot. McKenna fires! He scores! The Wizard of Whitehorse wins it in overtime! Gavin McKenna! Gavin McKenna, the OT winner! Penn State 5, Ohio State 4, the final! Pandemonium here at Pagula! Wizardry from McKenna! That's magic! magical.
Yeah, and Penn State, when you think about it, that's basically a brand new program when you look in the history of college hockey. And they're really good. And we always talk about, is this the year maybe the Big Ten can win a national title here or there? Well, maybe it's time in hockey. One of these wonderful teams emerged to give the Big Ten the national championship.
Last time was 2007 that the Big Ten got to call themselves the national champs, and Penn State coming off of a Frozen Four last year. See if maybe they can get back there again. Real quick to cap off the Sounds of the Week segment here at the beginning of the show, Will, we've got to bring up that for the Michigan Wolverines men's basketball team, they've already clinched at least a share of the Big Ten regular season crown in men's basketball. Here's what head coach Dusty May had to say in the locker room to his team after the recent win against Minnesota to clinch.
You have a responsibility to the group to give your maximum effort, no matter what. That's the responsibility we have when we came here to each other. Like, we signed up for this, that we're going to do our absolute best. We're going to prepare our best. We're going to play our hardest. And some games, we're just not going to have it. That's the way sports are. But we've got to bring our focus, our concentration to every game. We have a responsibility to each other, to our families, to everyone who came in here to watch us, to give our maximum effort. And I don't think we all did that tonight. Let's get back to living in our strengths. We all got special sauce to this team. Let's get back to living in what I do well. What I do well, I'm bringing that to this group because that's been good enough to get us to where we're the best team in the country for 4 or 5 months, right? Let's live in our strengths, and we got enough in this room to continue to improve and get better. The last couple games, we haven't played near as smart as we are, and that's a focus, concentration, a longevity thing. Let's get back to playing where we're locked in on the details of the game. All right, let's break it in, man. Go.
Dusty May, the head coach of the Wolverines in Michigan. And with their loss to Duke, I don't know if that's a bad thing, Dalton. I really don't. But it's interesting with them. Obviously, it's been a foregone conclusion, I think, that they're going to win the regular season. They'll be the favorite to win the tournament as well. But their expectation now isn't winning a Big Ten title. Their expectation is to win everything. And I've often wondered, when you're that good, do you feel the pressure? I don't know. Never been there.
You're right. But it's a good point. And based on the conversation and the tone you hear there, it wasn't confetti in the locker room after they win the Big Ten title. They're focused on something bigger, to your point. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to make it there.
Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to highlight a great Big Ten player who's never been in the big dance. And he's got one last crack at it. That's coming up in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Every kid deserves a chance to feel safe, to have their own bed, to be loved and cared for. That's why I love my foster parents. They make me feel like part of the family.
Raise hope and foster dreams for one of 13,000 Michigan children in foster care. Visit michigan.gov/hope for a home or call 855-MICH-KIDS. That's 855-MICH-KIDS. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing?
doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, every now and then, Dalton, I think there's a great performance game after game after game that somewhat gets overlooked because maybe the player is on a team that isn't the best in the Big Ten or doesn't get all the notoriety. And what we're talking about is one of the great guards in college basketball, a senior. His name is Bruce Thornton. And he just passed 2,000 points in his career. And at the end of the day, probably is going to be the all-time leading scorer in the history of Ohio State basketball. And this week, after 2 unbelievable games, he was named the Big Ten Player of the Week. And joining us to talk about this wonderful guard and player for the Buckeyes is the voice of Ohio State, Paul Keels. And Paul, thanks for joining us. And I'm guessing you would agree he's deserving of this honor.
Well, when you look at what he did in East Lansing, considering that Ohio State was without Devin Royal, without John Mobley for the 3rd straight game, and he had to carry such a big load and really got very little offensive support from any of his teammates. Combine that with the performance that he had the previous game against Wisconsin when they beat the Badgers. I think that had a lot to do with it, Dalton, just how well he played, how well he does, not only scoring, but, he's a very good rebounding guard. His efficiency shooting has been incredibly well. And I think the way that he's taken care of the basketball, he played all 40 minutes in East Lansing, did not have a single turnover. So just the trend that he's been on has really been typical in a lot of ways of what we've seen for Bruce Thornton in almost 4 years.
I was going to say, Bruce Thornton finishes the week averaging 29.5 points against 2 ranked teams with 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game, shot over 52% from the floor. Simply incredible. And now, Paul, we're talking about somebody in Bruce Thornton who's second all-time in scoring in Ohio State basketball history. He just passed Jerry Lucas, William Buford, and Herb Williams to get there. I mean, when you start talking about that kind of company, Bruce Thornton's legacy and career is defined with some of the best.
And he's 60 points away from passing Dennis Hobson to become the all-time leading scorer. The biggest thing, Dalton, first off, was them recruiting him number 1, but then as a freshman, when they went through the coaching change, when Chris Holtman was let go in the middle of the season and Jake Diebler took over, the fact that Bruce Thornton remained with Ohio State. Jake was his main recruiter as an assistant. And the water was full of sharks after that coaching change to try and get Bruce to go elsewhere. But he was really committed to staying at Ohio State. And the fact that they were able to retain not only he, but John Mobley and Devin Royal after last year, after missing the NCAA tournament, was big for this program. Now, there's a big sentimental push, the hope that Ohio State can get in the NCAA tournament for Bruce Thornton to participate for the first time ever. But he's a classy young man, number 1. What he's done on the court has been remarkable, but his loyalty to Ohio State is what people are always going to remember about him.
And, Paul, that's exactly where I wanted to take this, because I'd like for you to introduce us a little bit more to Bruce the person. But to your point about the loyalty, I think that's what makes this story really special. Tom Izzo is quoted after the matchup with Ohio State this past weekend. Tom Izzo said, in a quote, "I talked to Bruce Thornton before the game, told him it's been an honor and a privilege to coach against him for 4 years. I said, you stayed put. You didn't run and leave like everybody else does nowadays. You've been an incredible player. You've been an incredible person. I'm a big fan." And I told him even more after the game, we couldn't guard him with a fishnet. End quote. I mean, to get that kind of praise from the dean of Big Ten coaches, I think that exactly sums up what Bruce Thornton will be remembered as.
Well, and let's add to that. We had a chance to interview Brad Underwood before Ohio State played Illinois, and he referred to all of those same reasons he referred to Bruce Thornton as a Big Ten legend for what he's done on the court, for what his play's been, but also the commitment he's made to his university. And, he's a guy, he's kind of a soft-spoken, quiet guy, but he's very friendly. He's very generous with his time. He's a guy that he's easy to cheer for. In our roles, we're not really supposed to do a lot of that, but he's an easy guy to cheer for. And, his play makes everybody else better. And I think that's what made last Sunday so impressive when Michigan State knew he was going to be the guy that was going to have to carry the load for Ohio State, and he still got over 30 points.
Well, and Paul, you've seen some great basketball players wear the Buckeyes uniform throughout time. Some guys who can really fill it up in different ways. It feels like Bruce Thornton's game is really kind of limitless, especially on that side of the ball. Feels like the bag, the toolbox, the arsenal's really deep. Have you seen many that you would be able to compare to him? And what makes Bruce so unique in that aspect?
Well, I think what makes him unique is the load that he carries. I won't say by himself, but a lot of it on his shoulders. Some of the other great ones that have come, whether it's Evan Turner, Mike Conley, Greg Oden, Keita Bates-Diop, they had other players around that probably provided a little more support than what Bruce gets, and that's why those teams and those players were in NCAA tournaments. But he's a guy that he seemingly does that at the bat of an eye. And Jake Diebler talks a lot about how it's not just in the games, it's the way he prepares himself, the way he practices, the way he goes about his business. And this is a guy that, and don't mean this in a bad way, but he takes a physical beating out there on the court because of what he does, because of what's required, and the attention that opponents put on him. He's a physical player himself, and that helps him to be able to have the success that he's had.
Paul, you mentioned that Bruce is a little bit soft-spoken. What else should people know about Bruce Thornton, the person?
Well, Dalton, the one thing I can add to you, his mother, who played basketball at Georgia, she is at almost every game. I can't remember where it was recently where she missed an away game because of ice in Atlanta and she couldn't get out. But when they went out west to Washington and Oregon, she was there. You see her in the stands wearing a Thornton jersey, and she's as gregarious and as welcoming with her personality as Bruce is. So you see where he gets it from. Both his parents were college athletes. His dad played in the NFL for a little bit. But I think there's a great humility, and just the fact that he has stayed loyal to this program, even in the midst of a coaching change. And a lot of that is to credit to Jake Diebler for the job he did recruiting Bruce and the job he's done maintaining guys like John Mobley and Devin Royal.
And it seems like, Paul, before we let you go, that relationship with Jake Diebler, I mean, we've already hit on the loyalty. For Bruce to stick around and for Jake to pay it back the way they do, those two seem really tight-knit.
They are, and that's going to be one of those, when they have their senior day against Indiana in a week and a half, that's going to be an emotional moment with Jake Diebler and Bruce Thornton. One of the more emotional ones we saw a few years ago was Jayshawn Tate, but that's going to be an emotional one. Now, it may not show outwardly, but those who know all of them from the inside know that'll be a big one. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, Dalton, that's why, for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the biggest reasons people want to see Ohio State get in the NCAA tournament. So Bruce Thornton, for the first time, can get a taste of it.
Is there anything else about Bruce Thornton we don't know that we should?
Not that I can tell you. He's so unassuming. He's a guy that when you see him and you see him smile, it kind of lights up a room. The only other thing I would add, Dalton, is, when they have their game day shoot-arounds, when they have practice, he's usually one of the first ones out there getting extra shots in. He's committed to the work that he has to put in to be the player he's become.
And, Paul, final thought as we get down the home stretch. In terms of Ohio State and even Bruce, what do you see in the future?
Well, they're going to have to get, they've got 4 games left going into this. They're playing at Iowa and then home with Purdue. They're going to need to get a couple of wins, and they're going to need for them to be a couple of big wins. They're right now on the bubble, probably on the outside looking in. They're going to need to be able to pull off a couple of wins and hopefully a couple of good ones. If they were able to upset Purdue, if they were able to knock off Indiana in the regular season finale, they might still need to take care of some business in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago. But it's a team that, they've not had any bad losses. They've had one big signature win, and that came against Wisconsin. They've had a couple of close losses that kind of leave you scratching your head. A game against North Carolina that they very well could have gotten. A game against Virginia in a neutral site, which was the first game they played without John Mobley. And people can even look to the Michigan State game as one that, they were in position for most of the game. But they're going to need to at least get a couple, maybe 3 of them, and try and get another win over a ranked team to get into the position they want to be in.
Well, as always, Paul, thanks a lot.
Glad to do it.
It's always good to chat with Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes. And Dalton, it's amazing. Bruce Thornton is not going to be a first-team selection. And I look at that, most years he would be. But as I look at what is going to happen to the second team in the Big Ten, this might be the greatest all Big Ten second team in the history of basketball, at least Big Ten-wise. Well, when we come back, speaking about some greatness, the UCLA women's basketball team may be on the verge of that. We'll talk about it in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
That ought to do it. Totally energy efficient.
Oh, no, not again. This time, we're getting help.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the battle of energy efficiency improvements. In this corner, Mr. I can save money and do it on my own. And in this corner, Miss Let's Get It Done Right with some help. Fight! Or you could just go to avoidenergydrama.com. From sealing your home to helpful loan options, you'll find all the tips and tools you need to stop wasting energy and stay comfortable. Avoidenergydrama.com. Brought to you by Michigan Saves.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
And welcome back to more of the Sports Life. We'll team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, there's a lot of talk about the Big Ten having great teams, great players, but can't win a national championship. On the women's side, the last team to do it, Purdue, 1999. But out in Los Angeles, there's a group representing UCLA that I think they might be a team that could do this. They currently are number 2 in the land behind Connecticut. They've won 21 straight. They're running away with the regular season championship. And they're ranked 2 in the nation. But besides that, I guess they're okay. I guess they're doing okay. And joining us is Dave Marcus, the voice of the women's UCLA basketball team. And Dave, thanks for joining us. And before we get into the conversation about the pluses of this basketball team, on the men's side, when we talk about the 4 new members that came over from the Pac-12, that they just can't win the regular season because of travel. Well, that might be true on the men's side, but obviously you guys have figured something out.
I can't tell you the travel's been easy.
4 trips to the Midwest every year can wear on you. And of course, the Bruins are going back to Indianapolis for the Big Ten tournament this year. But that being said, UCLA has not lost a game outside of the city of Los Angeles in 2 years of Big Ten play. That's remarkable. The only losses last year were a pair of losses to crosstown rival USC, which was kind of a bitter pill. But I think the Bruins have handled the travel really well. They're very intentional about how they do it. But these trips are long. It's different than they faced in the Pac-12. In the Pac-12, the games were Friday night, Sunday afternoon. So you got in, you got out, you didn't have your class schedule disrupted. They've got academic advisors that travel with them. They've really managed to cover this in a very comprehensive way.
Dave, I want to shed some more light, too, on what this run has been for UCLA, because besides being 17-0, undefeated, unblemished in Big Ten basketball this year for UCLA women's basketball, it's not really ever in question. I mean, UCLA in Big Ten play has had, I think, 2 games decided by single digits. And the 17 wins that you've had, 12 of them have been by 20 or more points. I mean, you're just simply rolling over the Big Ten that is right now better than it's ever been. You can absolutely make the argument, and I think you'd have very little rebuttal, that the Big Ten is having its best year it ever has in women's basketball, and UCLA's still running through it. I mean, how do you explain that?
The Big Ten is great. No question about it. Excuse me. No question about it. And, one of those close games was at Michigan, and it was a 3-point win. But the Bruins led that game by 9 with 30 seconds left. Michigan came down, hit a couple of impossible threes to close the gap, and they actually had a chance to tie the game at the end. The Bruins have been really good about not taking their foot off the accelerator. They're not trying to rub it in people's faces, but over the years, there have been too many times when they've seen 15-point leads get frittered away. And, even the final game at home on a very emotional senior day last Sunday against a pretty good Wisconsin team. Boy, they came in showing a lot. That was a 7-point game with about 2 minutes left. And it ended up being a 20-point win because the Bruins ended up scoring the last 11 points of the game. But the Big Ten is just quality top to bottom. And I think UCLA has been very good about not overlooking some of the teams that haven't been getting all the accolades in the Big Ten. I mean, Penn State was a tough game for a while. Northwestern played UCLA really tough, and then the Bruins ended up pulling away and winning it. UCLA's got such depth of scoring this year that they eventually can figure it out, and teams have really had a hard time defending them. And the Bruins have also done a really good job of defending. I mean, they're holding opponents to 36% from the floor, 28% from 3. They're really not forgetting the mantra of this program, which was always to focus on defense and rebounding. This year, they just happen to have great scoring to go with it.
Okay, Dave, here comes a silly question of the interview. You ready?
I'm all set.
Okay, if they play defense, they rebound, they don't miss shots. Did they have a weakness anywhere?
It hasn't shown up this year, except in the Texas game. Texas jumped them. They played Thanksgiving weekend, and Texas really got the better of them. Texas was very physical inside, and the guards were great. Rory Harmon had an incredible weekend with the win over UCLA and then the buzzer beater the next day against South Carolina. Kind of what happened in the Final Four last year. UCLA hadn't been facing a huge deficit all year last year, and although that game, everybody thinks it was like 20-0 UConn. It wasn't. It was 10-10 with about 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. It was a really pedestrian pace. But then UConn turned it up, and their guards harassed UCLA. This year, the Bruins have a lot better ball handlers and a lot more ball handlers. And so they can really spread the game out. And in that Texas game, again, it was very, very physical. Lauren Betts got hurt in that game. Madison Booker, diving for a loose ball, almost tore her arm off. And so Lauren Betts didn't play the last quarter and a half of that game. And still the Bruins came from 24 down, had it down to 4, and had a 3-pointer from Gianna Neepkins that went in and out with about 2 minutes left. If that goes in, they're down 1. I think they win the game. So we'll see. It's, this time of year, you're going to get exposed, and teams are going to plan for you differently. So far, they haven't shown a lot of weakness. They've really been very solid on both ends.
Dave, you mentioned Lauren Bentz just a moment ago, and Lauren Bentz is somebody who, I mean, not just one of the best players in the country, but I think you would say that she transformed what the UCLA women's basketball program is. And, of course, she's had this entire cavalry of Kiki Rice. I mean, this year you talk about Gianna Neepkins, Jaquez, Dugalich. There's been so many big players to help out, but if you could take the casual fan or the average listener through what the emergence of Lauren Bentz when she got to Westwood, how it changed everything.
I think you have to know a little bit of the backstory of Lauren Bentz. You know, she grew up, her dad was a professional basketball player in Europe. Her mom was a volleyball player. They actually met at Long Beach State, but she grew up in Spain. She was there until she was 8 years old, always the tallest one in her class. And it was always something that really bothered her. She got mocked for it. Moved to Colorado, and she dominated in high school in Colorado. She actually went to the same school that one of the UCLA assistant coaches, Michaela Onyebuere, who is obviously a WNBA player. That's the same school Michaela went to. But Lauren, in high school, as what happens with many big posts, her range was about 6 inches from the basket. They didn't need anything else from her. So she went to Stanford, and she told me when I first got to know her that because it was the pandemic, she didn't get a chance to do in-person on-campus visits. And she went up to Stanford, and there was just something about it that didn't fit her. She didn't have a good year at Stanford. She was hardly playing. And remember, Lauren Bentz was the #1 recruit in the country coming out of high school, ahead of Kiki Rice from DC. And Lauren, her freshman year at Stanford, was playing 8 minutes a game. She was behind Cameron Brink, who almost never came out of the game and really didn't show much. And so when UCLA got her, because Lauren was looking to make a move, they had to figure out like how to rebuild her confidence. She was very outspoken about the fact that she had some struggles from the mental standpoint. She had lost her confidence. And that whole first year that she was at UCLA, she wasn't the dominant player you see today. But once she started getting her confidence back after sitting out a few games, she sat out 3 or 4 games at her freshman year after a really tough road trip to Utah and Colorado. And she came back with a different attitude and worked on different aspects of her game. She's got a good face-up game. And the fact that she is now more versatile and she's become an incredible passer. I mean, she's got 84 assists on the year. It's second on the Bruins squad. Behind Kiki Rice. Well, that's not true. Charlie Sledger-Walker has 159. But Lauren's become an incredible passer. So, whereas in the first years, it would be feed it into the post, and she would dribble, and then the double team would come and knock it away from her. She's either putting it up or getting it out to a shooter, and that has really just reshaped what this Bruins offense can do. She also happens to be a wonderful person, very funny, loved by her teammates. This whole group is really a very cohesive team. I've never been around a team that had less drama than this UCLA team.
That makes a journey like this one you're experiencing really special. I want to ask you, too, because head coach Corey Close is somebody who has steadily kind of built this program to where it is right now, where it is one of the maybe 3 elite teams right now in the country this season. Maybe you can expand a little bit more, but it's elite company that Corey Close has this team in. And she was quoted recently saying that this team has the possibility, it's special enough to maybe be one of the most special teams in UCLA history. And I've only read it on print, Dave, but it interpreted it as if she was implying that you can include some of the great history of the men's program, too, which, of course, we all know John Wooden, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, with Bill Walton. UCLA men's basketball's history is so rich. But how do you take that? How do you... Not that you want to compare any of those because I don't know what the value is, but the fact that it is as special as some of the best that there's ever been.
It absolutely is. And those were incredible teams, obviously. You know what I find interesting, Dalton, is that, John Wooden didn't win his first national championship until year 16 at UCLA. Corey Close is in year 15. And, she was mentored by John Wooden. She was at UCLA as a graduate assistant after her playing days at Santa Barbara. And she had a meeting with the coach, and just basically because of her name being spelled Cori, that was the same as one of his granddaughters. And they had a conversation, and she became very close with him. She was mentored by John Wooden throughout his life. She spent Tuesdays every week when she could meeting with the coach at his apartment in Encino. And she learned a lot from him, not only about basketball, but about people and how to manage people and how to relate to people. And she's been very genuine since the day she got to UCLA. And her goal always was to not only have a team that wins, but to have an elite program that prepares young women for life after basketball. And she's taken that very seriously. And I think if you talk to any of her players over the past 15 years, they all are still very close with her. They maintain contact, and they have they've become just wonderful people in the society. On the court, they're doing things that UCLA has never done. And UCLA had some really good teams. I was thinking back to the year the Bruins played in the Elite Eight against Vic Schaefer's Mississippi State team, and they lost that game, had a chance to go to the Final Four. That team had, I think, 4 WNBA players on it. Jordan Canada, Kennedy Burke, Monique Billings. I think Michaela might have been a freshman that season. So she's had talent here, but they have learned now how to integrate preparation with the talent, relying on the skills of every player. And, they're really doing everything the right way, and it is really paying off. And as a longtime announcer for UCLA, I mean, the women for many, many years were in the shadow of the men. And even the men now are still in the shadow of the men. It's tough to be a men's coach at UCLA. Your name's not John Wooden. There's a statue of him out in front of the building. But the women's team is really getting attention that they've never had before. They're getting articles in the LA Times, and our games are on terrestrial radio now, which has not happened in the past. And the attendance has been very good this year. I think I didn't check the recent numbers. The men sold out against USC last night in a big win, but the women have had a couple of sellouts, and they've been packing them into Pauley Pavilion, and it's really created a buzz that I think is so refreshing. It doesn't hurt that SC's been good the same year as UCLA's been good. So even this year, SC's pretty good, even though they don't have Juju playing. So it's really been nice for women's basketball in Southern California. This area has always been loaded with talent. The problem was they all went to UConn, or they would go back east, to play somewhere else, Ohio State. That now you've got the California players, really, really, some of them staying home, and a lot of players from other areas wanting to come out to play in Westwood, which has been just great.
Well, Dave, as a final thought, have you allowed yourself the luxury, which I know you shouldn't do, but have you taken a look at Connecticut, and do you think the Bruins match up with them if it gets down to a 1-2 matchup for the national title?
Will, nobody cares if I look ahead to Connecticut. I hope the team's not looking ahead to Connecticut. I've been looking ahead to Connecticut a long time. It's interesting when you look back on the Bruins' history with Connecticut. I got to go back to a tournament in the Bahamas. Was it Bahamas? No, it was the Cayman Islands 3 years ago. That was the first time UCLA beat Connecticut, and they beat them pretty soundly. AZ Fudd didn't play in that game. She was injured, and Sarah Strong was still in high school. But the Bruins had Paige Beckers, and Connecticut had some of those guards now, Ashlyn Shade, KK Arnold, the guards that hounded them last year. I was thinking about last year's game and how much attention the prospect of guarding Paige Beckers brought. And the Bruins did a pretty good job on Paige Beckers in that game, but everybody else went crazy. This year, there is no Paige Beckers. There's a great AZ Fudd. There's a tremendous Sarah Strong. They've had good play off the bench from El Alfi and Quinones. The guards are still quick and fast, but I don't think they're an unknown this year. I think UCLA knows who they're facing. And one of the things about this Big Ten schedule is that you face every kind of team. You face pressure, from Ohio State. You face pressure from Michigan State, who can really force it on you in the backcourt. And I think they're very well prepared to face UConn if they meet. And if they meet, because right now UConn is the number 1 overall seed, UCLA is the number 2 overall seed. They wouldn't meet until the championship game. And you know what? If that happens, I'll take it.
Well, Dave, good luck with that one. I appreciate it, and have a good Big Ten tournament as well.
Thanks, gentlemen. Nice to talk to you.
Some of the thoughts of Dave Martis, the voice of the UCLA women's basketball team, as I do believe they're going to make a run at the national title. Well, I hear spring and summer's coming, which means we're going to talk some golf in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little? But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, summer's coming. I know it is. Spring is coming. I know it is. Doesn't look that way in the Midwest, but I believe it's actually really going to happen. Which means golf is right around the corner, and actually golf in the Big Ten has begun. And joining us today is Casey Lubahn, the head golf coach at Michigan State University. He's in his 15th season now. He's taken the Spartans to 9 straight NCAA tournaments. And Casey, thanks for joining us. And believe it or not, Dalton, we have not asked Casey on the show to talk about how great the Spartan golf program is, which it is a good one. But we've asked him to come on and talk about some of the initiatives that he's initiated to help promote the sport of golf. And Casey, you've done a great job, I think, of getting college golf exposed in general. So you want to start off with talking about your connection with the Golf Channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. A number of years ago when we were building this program, one of the things we wanted to do was host the best events as well. It's just like, Izzo with his schedule. Those who have the best schedule generally prepare their guys the best. And so in 2021, we'd already started 2 great tournaments in Florida and Hilton Head. But in 2021, I had a brainstorm to start an event at American Dunes, which is the birthplace of the Folds of Honor, the biggest charity in the world of golf. And the golf course was built there by Jack Nicklaus, who's become a nice friend. And as we looked at creating this event, the mission was very simple. One, we wanted to honor America's fallen soldiers and fallen first responders. Folds of Honor gives scholarships to the descendants of those folks who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. And secondly, because the American Dunes was in Michigan, it gives us a great opportunity to host an event near our community, which doesn't happen that much, right? A lot of teams that play college golf never play at home. So I had a great brainstorm, I thought. I called a couple people to see if I could get started. And the next thing I know, Dan Rooney, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, who started the Folds of Honor, called me and said, hey, come to Tulsa on Thursday. This was Monday, the day after James Pyatt won the U.S. Amateur at Oakmont. And so I flew down to Tulsa, and we really brainstormed how to combine the best of America with the best of college golf. And then with the long-term vision of the world needs to see this, right? On a normal college golf event, we might get 300 to 400 to 500 people beyond parents who come out and watch, but generally they're private affairs. I have an AD that loves golf now, so I know he follows very closely. But most of the time, people don't even know we're playing, right? So having this opportunity to create an event that had meaning so the Golf Channel would like to showcase it really took off. The first year, we weren't able to raise the funds, but by year 2, we had signed a 3-year deal with Golf Channel. And it's been the highest rated show that they do all year long. And with estimated over 1 million unique viewers tuning in on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night in September to watch these kids honor America, watch them play a wonderful golf course, and then one of the best competitive fields in the country. And I have to say, outside of just helping these kids, it's one of the proudest things I've done in my career.
I can certainly imagine why. And Casey, I mean, you talk a little bit about the success there. I'm curious overall what this event has been able to do successfully for those scholarships that were aforementioned for disabled and lost first responders and military members. But also you threw out the number of those TV ratings, over 1 million unique viewers. If you could put it in context, because sometimes I think numbers might confuse people. You and I were talking, that's bigger than some college football games.
Yeah, I mean, our first 2 events for football this year, that was about the same number we had tuned into those first 2 games. So we host Boston College this year, big game, came down to the wire. Their viewership numbers for that game were about exactly what the Folds of Honor coverage was for the golf tournament. And that's not to take anything away from football. It's to say, hey, there's the interest in college athletics is at an all-time high, clearly, as you can see. And there's other incredible athletes and incredible causes to watch. So it gave us a platform to showcase this. 2 guys from last year's field went right to the PGA Tour. So you're watching the future of the PGA Tour, and you're learning about a great cause, and also we're highlighting our community in our great state. So it was a home run on every level. I sit back now. I don't do as much work to run it anymore, so I probably get to enjoy it more. I think it's something the kids, even our international kids, about 50% of every field now in college golf is international. Kids come from all over the world to play college golf. How they talk about it is one of the proudest things. No matter where they came from, they're amazed by the American spirit. At 1 o'clock every day, the whole golf course stops. You could have a 3-footer for birdie, and you stop for 2 minutes, and you put your hand on your heart, and they play taps. The whole golf course does this. And at 5:30, they stop again, and we play the national anthem. Those are the things that have resonated with viewers across the country, and they certainly bring goosebumps to me when I talk about it.
Casey, the field, how many schools are in it? And do they come from all over the country?
They do, yeah. So the first 2 years, it was a men's-only event as we got it off the ground. Now it's men and women, which has made it super special. We have 15 teams on the men's side and 12 on the women. The reason for the disparity is there's 5 invites every year. Well, there's 6, I should say. Every year, there's 6 teams that are going to play. It's the highest ranked HBCU because 44% of all Folds recipients are minorities. So the highest ranked historically black college. And then on the men's side, you have the 3 militaries, Army, Navy, Air Force. They bring their teams, which is really one of the highlights of the week. And then Florida State and Michigan State were the co-hosts. On the women's side, there's only one military academy that plays golf. So they have a little smaller field, but yeah, they come from California to Florida to the Northeast. It's one of the best in college golf. We basically are picking the top 10 teams in the country and then combining those with the schools that always play.
So at the end of the day with this event, is this going to be one of the cornerstones not only to promote golf, but raise big bucks for this effort to help people?
I think so. I think, when I look back, I've been at this 15 years now. It's crazy to hear you say that. I'm the 4th longest tenured coach at Michigan State, which is even more crazy. But I look back when my time is done, I will think this will be the biggest impact I made. One, because we touched a lot of American families who are going through, quite a struggle and help lifted them up. But 2, and this is the part that I keep hammering home, as NIL and the transfer portal and money takes over college athletics, I want this event to be about more than winning and losing. We played in it 4 times. I think we finished 3rd once, 2nd once, and 7th and 6th. We played fine every year, but I don't leave the week talking about how we played. I leave the week talking about the impact we made. And as we continue to strive for dollars and grow in college athletics, there's still an educational mission that has to be first and foremost. As much as we need to win in football and basketball and a lot of our sports, it's still going to be vital to me, and that's, I hope, the impact it leaves, that college golf can be about more than that.
Well, Casey, I appreciate it, and good luck with the season.
Thank you. Yeah, we're getting ready to get on the road to be in South Carolina for 10 days, so it's going to be a fun stretch here for us.
A nice visit with Michigan State's golf coach Casey Lubahn and how he's helped the Folds of Honor become more visible through the efforts of college golf and how he hooked up with the Golf Channel, which isn't a bad thing. And by the way, the Folds of Honor, as of 2007, over 73,000 scholarships have been awarded. Back with our parting shots in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Anybody ready for a burger?
I'm State Fire Marshal Rich Miller, reminding everyone to think safety first when it comes to outdoor grilling, whether it's charcoal or gas. Never overload your grill with food. Excess fat and grease will create large flames. Grill outdoors and never inside or in a garage. Never leave a grill unattended and always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. For more tips on safe grilling, visit the Bureau of Fire Services website at michigan.gov/BFS.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Hype. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. We've had a fun show. We've talked basketball. We've talked golf. When's the last time we talked golf in a while?
Besides just my atrocious game, I think it's been a minute.
I don't have a game, so I can't even comment. But anyway, so we've had a good show so far, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it. So now it is time for us to move forward with our parting shots. So, Dalton, what do you got?
Well, I wanted to circle back to something that took place about a week and a half ago. From West Lafayette, Indiana, Purdue head coach Matt Painter, who, of course, is a staple of Purdue men's basketball and its history at this point, he picked up Big Ten win number 250 of his career. So now he becomes just the fourth Big Ten head men's basketball coach ever to hit the 250 club. He joins, of course, Gene Cady, who was a great there at Purdue as well, Bob Knight, and Tom Izzo. And Tom Izzo, of course, is the leader at 370-plus and still counting there in East Lansing. But that's a pretty exclusive club, and you hear those four names, and it makes sense, right? Like, that is the best that this league has ever had.
And you wonder, how long is Coach Painter going to coach? Because if he keeps going at his current pace, will he pass Tom Izzo? Who knows?
That's a good question.
Who knows? Well, since you're talking about West Lafayette and Purdue, I want to talk about a buddy of mine, Jeff Washburn. For years and years and years, for the Lafayette Journal and Courier, he covered the Purdue Boilermakers. And in 1991, Jeff got named the Indiana Sports Writer of the Year. And you talk about winning things, check out this number. In his career, he won 71 sports journalism writing awards. 71. How about that? And he also received the Silver Medal Award from the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. That happened in 2011. Missing from his resume, though, was being inducted into the Hall of Fame of the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. And I should note that Jeff passed away suddenly in 2017. He was only 63. Happened the day after he covered the Purdue-Louisville basketball game at Mackey Arena. Well, that missing piece of his resume is now fulfilled, as he is part of this year's Hall of Fame class. So kudos for the people on the committee to finally get Jeff where he deserves to be with that elite group of writers. So with that, that's a wrap for this week's show. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Live is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.